We got Curtis Blaydes back here on the program, who was just in Vegas this past weekend as he was cage side watching Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. But first, Curtis, thank you so much for doing this, man. I know you just got back to Denver.
No problem, man. Appreciate your time.
No problem. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. And, we knew ahead of time that you were going down to Vegas. I remember you mentioned that when we did our interview after your win over Overeem. What was the reason that the UFC brought you down there, or did you go on your own? What was sort of the reason you were in Vegas?
I wanted to get a good view of the heavyweight fights. I'm pretty much I'm just watching, scouting out potential opponents. The UFC paid for a majority of the trip.
The UFC knows you're in town. You're obviously there to watch the fights. Was there any indication you got from them that you were going to be shown on the broadcast or anything like that? Because I think a lot of people felt like you are the number one contender to the title.
No, I wasn't told that specifically, but that's what I expected. But I don't believe it happened, but that's fine with me. It's not really a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, because I think people were hoping to see you in the cage after that fight. Now, you're sitting cage side. At any point, did you know at all that Brock Lesnar was in town, before the event started, or did you find that out when everyone else did?
I found out a few minutes prior to everyone else. I noticed Brock Lesnar was sitting down right next to Dana White, and I could see they were talking and laughing. So
once you see Brock Lesnar cage side, what's going through your head right now?
I knew he was only there for one reason, and that was to call out the winner of that title fight. Had it been Stipe, he probably would have called him out also, just like he called out DC.
Before we talk more about Brock, what did you think of the fight? Did you expect Cormier to knock out Stipe like that in the first round?
That was a big shock. I figured that was the only way he could win, was to dirty box the way he did. And I don't know. I thought Stipe would avoid that, at least in the earlier rounds, because that's really the only way I feel like he could have lost. And it just, the planets aligned, and he was able to drag Stipe into a little I won't say slug fest because it wasn't slugging, but he just had him to play his game, and it worked out. I feel like had Stipe been able to use his jab more and use the bit, because at one point, just prior to him getting knocked out, he started to land a lot of 1-2s, and I was thinking he was going to drop DC. And then momentum, it flipped. I think it had a little bit to do with the eye poke. I don't know. I don't want to blame him on that, but I feel like maybe that was a factor. I don't know.
DC wins. He's holding up the title. In your head, I know you're thinking this is my turn, but of course Brock Lesnar comes in the cage. He pushes DC. What did you think about all that happened in the cage? Because there's a lot of fans who are pissed off about that because they're saying, this is pro wrestling, this is scripted. What was your thoughts just as that whole exchange happened?
I thought the exact same thing. It reeked of WWE, and I don't like that. I don't. I think fighters should be judged. I understand this is an entertainment sport, but we have to be careful that we don't start to overvalue someone's marketability over their actual production in the cage. I want to be judged off the merit of my victories, and not how much smack I can talk. That's not my job. That's not my focus. It's not to talk smack. My job is to be the best fighter I can be and go out there and win. And Yeah, you do want to like put on a show, but not at the expense of a victory. And I feel like the UFC a little bit. They've been like pushing this. It's like I don't want to say a narrative, but it's just like a vibe. Like they don't care about your ranking or if you want to like win the fight. They just want you to like sell it. And I just I feel like that's not fair because the number one priority of every fighter should be to win. And I noticed that's not it hasn't been the number one priority for a lot of guys. And it's just I don't like that vibe.
You have a strong case here. I mean, Brock hasn't won since 2010. He's 0-2. He's coming off the no contest where he was flagged by USADA. I mean, you feel like you have a strong case here as far as staking your claim as the number one contender. You're coming off that win over Alistair Overeem.
I do. I feel like it shouldn't take all this all it shouldn't take me having to like make my case. It should be pretty common sense. It just people they everyone they know I should be fighting for the belt, but I get it. You don't like my style. I I get it. I never said my style was the most entertaining, but I think it is the most effective. And I just think people are fine with me not getting a title shot because they know if I get it, the chances of me winning the belt are high, and then they'll be forced to to watch me. And based off my social media, I feel like a lot of people they don't want to watch me with the belt because I don't the way they feel I should. So I think it's a lot of like it's a lot of that.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of people are on your side though too, because people are upset that Brock is potentially getting this shot because of the USADA stuff, because of everything else. I mean, there is an entertainment aspect of the sport, but there's also the side of it where you got to win fights, right? So I think that helps. Kind of on that same note though, were you surprised that Alexander Volkov had to weigh in and was a backup for this fight, and how come you weren't offered that?
Yeah, I didn't even find that out till the next day. So I didn't even realize that he was the backup plan. He was the contingency plan. Um, I don't know exactly what that means. If does that mean they favor him over me? I don't know exactly.
Well, do you think part of it too is the fact that I know you said you had the knee injury? Maybe they were using him because he's actually cleared to fight. Like what is the status? Because as far as I know from you, you're not 100%, right?
I sprained my MCL and there was some slight uh, quadricep tearing. So I just been basically doing a lot of PT and just allowing my body to heal on its own.
As far as you ever fighting Brock Lesnar, I was talking to your manager. You basically feel like you would beat the brakes off him. Am I right?
Yeah, I would destroy Brock Lesnar. And people think I'm scared to fight. I'm like, what's to be scared about? Is he gonna out wrestle me? No, he definitely not gonna outstrike me. I feel like he hasn't earned the fight me or to fight anyone in the top five. He hasn't won a fight in like 8 years. And jump in and skip ahead of everyone. He skipped ahead of me. He's he skipped ahead of Alexander Volkov. He skipped ahead of Stipe. I wouldn't even be pissed if they gave Stipe an automatic rematch. I wouldn't be pissed about that because that's like you can make an argument about that. But Brock, it just makes no sense.
And are you concerned at all with the USADA testing too? Because Brock has to go back in the pool, so that delays things a little bit. I mean, we're looking at January, February, the earliest that he could potentially fight.
Yeah, that's a bit concerning because it messes up the timeline. I think like I could get the belt in December, but not gonna happen. Probably won't get an opportunity for it until maybe next May, which is, I guess it's not that long, but like you only have so many fights in your body. Well, me, I only have so many fights in my body. I just want to maximize each fight and uh, just get the best value because it's. I know people don't like hearing it, but it is about the money. Like even DC said, I don't know if you did you watch the interview where he said pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, he was like, Curtis Blaze is good or whatever, but I'm at the point where I'm almost 40 and I don't see myself ever fighting him because it's not worth it. And it makes sense because that would be a war, but I'm not the money fight. So he doesn't want to put his body through a war right now, and I get it. So I'm not really mad at DC. I'm really not. I get it. It's a business move.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the UFC is the one that makes the fight. So really, they're sort of putting all this together. I got to ask the obvious question: if this fight does end up happening with Cormier and Lesnar, which all indication sounds like it is, would you fight Alexander Volkov, or would you want to wait until potentially getting that shot after the winner of that fight?
I don't know. This is a new position for me. I've never been in this position, so um, we're taking it uh, day by day and just processing all the new information that we get and making decisions based off that.
Okay. And have you from the sounds of it, you haven't heard anything from the UFC since all this happened, have you?
No, I have not.
Has your manager reached out to them to get some clarification on everything?
Not that I know of.
Okay, that's interesting. And did you run into Brock at all that night?
No, I didn't. I would have liked to.
What would you have said to him if you would have saw him?
I just would have said like, why do you think you deserve the title? I would like to hear it from his own in his own words. Like, why do you think you deserve it over me?
What about Cormier? I imagine you haven't talked to him either.
No, I have not.
If this fight does end up taking place, would you want the? I mean, I'd imagine you'd want some things in place for the UFC to take care of you or something, because this just seems like an unfortunate situation for someone like yourself who did everything right.
Yeah, it is a weird situation. Like I wasn't when I envisioned this year after I beat Alistair, I was envisioning myself then just keeping all that. So now I'm having to adjust, and it's not the end of the world, but it is a little annoying. It just seems like a need when it's like this shouldn't even be happening right now. Like I don't know. I don't get why do people want to see bad fights so bad? Because he's not good. So like, well, what is it about him that people are like, man, I really want to see Brock Lesnar fight. I don't get it. He doesn't really have a skill set. Even his wrestling, it's like everyone's like so impressed by it. I'm not impressed.
How do you feel like you match up against DC if you were to get this fight? If this does end up taking place.
I think it's a good matchup. I'm bigger, faster. I think I'm stronger. And I think, like MMA wrestling wise, I think I'm just as good as DC because MMA wrestling is less about skill and more so timing. I think I have great timing when it comes to taking my shots, and I know that once I got a takedown on him, I'd be able to like impose my will, like hold him down. It can carry my weight and tire him out. And I don't see him having the strength to do as Stipe what he did to me. Like how grabbed the top of Stipe's head and just big runs him into the uppercuts. I wouldn't allow him to do that to me. Like as soon as that hand comes up, I'm shooting. And I'm going to get it. And then from there, 1 takedown leads to 2, 2 leads to 4, leads to 8. I think it would. I'm not saying I would get the finish, but I think I could win every round.
Let's say this fight does end up going through. Would you accept something as like being a backup, for a couple of reasons, whether, Brock gets injured, DC gets injured, or Brock gets flagged again by USADA? I mean, these are all situations that could happen.
Yeah, they are, and I will be ready. I'll be ready, but I thought they've already showed us who they want to be the backup. So if it's Volkov, I'll wait. Like I don't know. This is a new position, so I can't give an answer about whether I would take a long break or just be willing to jump in there with anyone else. Like me and my coaches, we talk about it a lot, and every day we get some new info, and we use it, and we base our decisions off that. And as of right now, I'm not looking to fight anyone else. But it's also July, so I guess if you ask me that again in like 2 months, I may have a different answer.
Last question for you here. When we talked on the red carpet, I asked you what your favorite thing about Vegas was, and you said pool parties. Did you get to go to any pool parties this weekend?
Yeah, I went to the official after party for the UFC fighters yesterday. That was fun.
Okay, good stuff. Who did you get to hang out with?
Pretty much the who's who. Chuck Liddell, Wonder Boy, Weidman, Aljamain Sterling, Marias, the Pettis brothers, just everybody.
Okay. Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time as always, Curtis, and we'll definitely, keep track of the situation. I'd love to get you back on once we get some more information as far as, this entire situation. But in the meantime, man, just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media, and if you got any thank yous, the floor is yours.
If you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, my handle is razorblades265, and I'd like to give a shout out to sponsors. Reception MMA. I use their CBD products. I'd like to give a shout out to Laura's Lane Beef, Iowa Bison Meat. Also to my striking and my jiu-jitsu coaches, Vinny Lopez and Cody Donovan.